NFL trade rumors coming at you here on Chat Sports. We're going to dive right into it because John Ross, he's pretty fast, and I'm curious if the Bengals try to ship him out quickly. He's asked to be traded and wants a fresh start.
Yeah, he wants a fresh start. Hasn't gotten much opportunity this year with a new quarterback in Joe Burrow, and this isn't surprising, right?
Not surprising at all.
When you see high draft picks not play well and you get toward the end of that rookie contract, you want to try and get somewhere else so you can maybe get a second contract. I think that's very much the situation here for a guy who wowed us all at the Combine a few years ago by setting the record.
I'll also say this, he didn't set the record.
Well, you know, in the record books he did. Maybe it's fake news. Regardless, the guy can fly, and that is why the Bengals drafted him in the top 10, but he just hasn't been productive. He hasn't been throughout his career. He certainly hasn't been this year, as he has 2 catches for 17 yards.
He's been banged up. I mean, he did
a lot of injuries.
He missed week 3, 4, 5, but in the first week of the season, he did. This is where his stats came. Played in about 50 snaps. Last week, played in only 1. Now, the Bengals have been, we'll say, benching a lot of their other players, and John Ross has been that. But when you draft a receiver in the first round, you're not looking for this type of production in 4 years.
You're hoping to get that in 1 season.
Exactly. I mean, 7 of those touchdowns did come in his second year.
Yep.
I mean, he scored 7 touchdowns on 21 catches.
Yep.
I mean, John Ross has the deep field. He has that ability, but that's all he has. He's only a speed receiver.
Not a good route runner, doesn't have great hands, can't stay healthy. That's a recipe for a guy who wants to be traded toward the end of his rookie contract.
So who will trade for John Ross? Before we break down some of the teams that potentially could, we want to know from you. Predict who's going to trade for John Ross. You got any names?
I really don't, man. Like
I wouldn't want him personally.
Who wants John Ross? I don't know. Packers?
Maybe.
I don't know.
All right, so here's some potential trade destinations. I'm just trying to think of teams that could use them. The New England Patriots, the Packers. You could also throw in a team maybe like the New York Jets trying to swing and hit something. The 49ers need receiver help.
They don't hit on much these days,
do they? The Colts. I think the Colts are an intriguing name, though, because they did lose a player like Paris Campbell. Also, who's the guy from USC who they drafted this year? Michael Pittman. He's been battling some injuries. T.Y. Hilton's not quite what he used to be. I think the Colts are a very, very intriguing name. I'll make you guys a promise. If John Ross or any other big-name players do end up getting traded, we'll make a video about it. We'll talk about it. And if you're always looking for the latest NFL news and rumors, please go ahead and hit that big red button that says subscribe. Support the show. It helps us keep it free. We did just cross 202,000 subs, so I do want to say thank you to everyone out there. And make sure you join us for our live shows, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. All right, let's get really, really wild. Sam Darnold to the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, it's getting weird here on NFL Daily.
Let me just say, this is a rumor if I've ever seen one. So according to an NFL analyst on Twitter, he said that don't be surprised if the Dallas Cowboys start going out and poking around for Darnold because of how bad Andy Dalton looked and because, the Jets are probably going to have that number 1 pick.
Here's the problem. We watched the Dallas Cowboys with the legitimate top 10, if not top 5 quarterback in Dak Prescott not win games. Right?
Yep.
Andy Dalton got blown out.
Correct.
Trade for Sam Darnold. He's going to fix this team. No, he's not. There's a million problems on this roster. If you can't win with Dak, you ain't winning with Darnold. I'm just telling you that. Now, that doesn't mean a team shouldn't trade for Darnold and try to develop him.
Yep.
But Dallas is near the bottom of the list. This is fake news. This is garbage. It's not going to happen. And I'm not convinced, even if you're just focused on this year, that Darnold comes in and is some major upgrade from Andy Dalton. Dalton was bad on Monday Night Football. Everyone's been bad for the Cowboys this year outside of CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper pretty much. Even Ezekiel Elliott stinks. This is just a bad football team right now. Again, I'll remind you, I'll say it again, this team couldn't win with Dak.
Yeah.
Why would they trade for Sam Darnold in the middle of a season? Sure, could they win this division? Doesn't really matter. They're not going anywhere. So keep your trade assets. Do not trade for Sam Darnold. We'll ask you guys this question. Better at quarterback, Dalton or Darnold? I'm going to say or W for who cares. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter for this Cowboys team. It makes no sense.
I'll answer the question. I'm going to go with Sam Darnold. I think he is the better quarterback. He's the guy that I'd rather have. But I'm in agreement with you. I don't actually anticipate it happening. Now, the reason why this one is kind of being brought up continuously is because the guy on Twitter was like, well, the Cowboys are number 1. Can you win it with Andy Dalton? You can win the division with Sam Darnold. And you know what? That might be true. But what does it do for you?
I also don't know if it's true. Like, what? I'm not convinced Darnold gives you a better chance. He has to come in and learn a new system.
Okay.
Like, I just don't think there's any evidence at all. Now, if someone was like, if you could trade for Darnold, you might win 8 out of your final 11 games, sure. But there's no evidence that that'll happen.
So the rumor around this was a second-round pick.
No
and
chance.
I'm with you.
I'm not doing that if I'm
not
Dallas.
giving up because if you're Dallas, why would give up a second-round pick when next year you could use that second-round pick, maybe draft a safety?
Or
defense.
Or just focus on keeping Dak instead of franchise tagging.
All right, y'all. Who's going to end up winning the NFC least? Is it going to be the Dallas Cowboys type C, the Philadelphia Eagles type E, Washington football team, give us a W, or the New York Giants type G? I'm probably actually going to go with the Eagles. I just don't have any confidence in the Cowboys. And if Washington would get a quarterback, maybe Darnold should go to Washington because then I'd pick them.
I want to watch Andy Dalton play one more game. Can I get one more start from him?
I've seen enough of
an extra week of practice. Let's see what he does this week. If it's more of the same, I might be with you. I might be shifting to the Eagles.
More trade rumors here around Marvin Jones. I saw this one. I was like, you know what? This one's pretty interesting. So he's really frustrated with his lack of catches. He wants to be able to be more involved in the offense, which wide receiver doesn't.
Yeah.
The reason why this is noteworthy and the reason why a lot of people around Detroit are picking up this as a story, the last time he was this frustrated, he demanded the trade from Cincinnati. So could he be traded from Detroit? It's remained to be seen. But this year, I mean, you can't really, I say, disagree. I mean, I think Marvin Jones is a much better receiver than the numbers that he's putting up. 24 targets. I don't think that's nearly enough for a player of his caliber.
He's a legitimate high-end number 2 receiver.
He's a very good wide receiver, too. And, I mean, now they have Kenny Golladay, and since he's been there, he's been the target hog, and he should be. He's the better receiver there. But you got a player who's on a pace for 44 catches, 467 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, when you look at the numbers that he put up last year in just 13 games, I can understand his frustration. The other thing is he is one of the better red zone wide receivers in the National Football League.
He's a 60 for 800 guy, not a 45 for 500 guy.
Exactly.
Like he, especially in that offense, right? Like I know they're trying to run the football more. DeAndre Swift had a big game last week, but that's still a team that's throwing for that's going to be most games throwing for 250, 300 per week. And for him to be on pace for less than 500 yards, that's not utilizing him to his full strengths, no doubt about it. So you came up with a few teams here. The Patriots are intriguing to me because that offense the past couple weeks has not been pretty.
The name that I think that if this deal ends up getting done, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens, a team that's worried about their offense. They're in a bye week this week. There's reports that they want to get some new flow going in there with Lamar Jackson, with the receivers.
Passing game has not been great.
Marvin Jones, he can also block. If Marvin goes to a team, gets traded, I'm going to go out and predict it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Dolphin fans, what's going on? You know it's Tua time. The entire NFL world knows it's Tua time. The question that we're going to bring up here is that actually the right thing to do? So the Dolphins, they named Tua the starter in Week 7. In my opinion, this was the plan all along. As soon as that bye week was going to happen, it was going to be Tua time. Originally, you saw Fitzpatrick in that fourth quarter when he came in. There's like 2 minutes, 27 seconds left. Tua is coming in, by the way. Fitz is jumping up and down. He's super excited. And now, well, it's a lot different. He literally said that he was absolutely heartbroken. So before we get into some news and rumors around Fitz, was it too early for Tua time? Why for yes or and for no? What do y'all have to say? What do you got to say,
I don't know if it's too early. The timing is very questionable, though, because this is a team playing good ball with Fitzpatrick, and they're in the playoff hunt in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Like, the Bills have lost 2 games in a row. The Patriots don't know what they're doing. The Jets are a joke. I know Tua's the future, but this just feels like, it's a bye week, we have to make a change. You don't, though.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to make a change. Now, Brian Flores deserves the benefit of the doubt because he's done a hell of a job since taking over this team. Everybody told him to tank last year. They competed. They won 5 games. I thought that was admirable. They still got Tua. Fitzpatrick has been a fun story for them, kind of reviving his career a little bit with Miami, so I certainly understand why he's upset, and we'll get to some quotes from him. But look at what he's done, Mitch. Yeah, the interceptions are always going to be high with Fitz, but 70%. Over 1,500 yards. He's still mobile, 12 total touchdowns. So I think at the end of the day, this is very suspect timing after a team that's won 2 games in a row.
So the question I asked, and you guys continue to get your votes in, why for yes and for no, was it too early for Tua time? It was absolutely too early for Tua time. Ryan FItzpatrick was carrying this football team on offense, an offense that just won 2 very demanding games, and I thought he played very well. Here's his quote that came out. I basically got fired yesterday, and today my day consisted of Zoom meetings with the guy that fired me and sitting in a room with the guy who replaced me for 4 hours. I mean,
Yikes.
That would be tough. That's almost like you find out that your wife is cheating on you, and then you got to sit with the ex-husband, or it's sloppy.
It's a bit extreme, but I get your point.
All right, here's the other quote here. I've been benched for all kinds of different ways, but this was kind of the first place other than Buffalo that I've been fully committed and invested. It was like it was my team. Which
he said it felt like it was my team. I want to decipher this quote a little longer, by the way. That's a weird quote, because so you're saying on most of the teams you've played on, you weren't that invested? That's kind of weird. I don't think that's what he meant. And also, I love Fitzpatrick. I love Fitzmagic is fun. Fitztragic is fun as well when he throws 5 picks. It's all fun. But saying I felt like this was my team, dude, Ryan FItzpatrick, you're not naive.
Yeah.
When the Dolphins drafted Tua, this was going to happen. Now, the timing, again, I'll say it's weird. It's suspect. The Dolphins are in a playoff hunt. I get where he's coming from. But for him saying he feels like it's his team, he's not dumb.
Yeah.
He knew Tua was going to start sooner rather than later. It just happened sooner than he thought.
So now some rumors are starting to pop up around potentially Fitz. You know, you see how upset he is. You see the anger.
Does he want out?
Does he potentially want out? I mean, it's interesting to at least think about. So let us know here. Will the Dolphins end up trading Ryan FItzpatrick? Give us a 1 for yes or type 2 for no. And if you guys are Dolphin fans, please go check out our Dolphins channel. It's got over 4,000 subscribers. You can see the link below, youtube.com/DolphinsNews. I'm going to type my 2 for no because I'm in agreement with some of the things you said before. He knew that Tua was the future. And I can understand from a competitor standpoint that you want to go out there, you want to compete with your team.
Especially while you're winning.
Exactly. However, you trade Fitz. Remember, you already cut Josh Rosen. The only other guy left there is Jake Rudock, who is on the practice squad. You don't want that.
Let me simplify this. They're not trading him. Unless he says, I'm not showing up to work unless you trade me, they're not trading him. He won't do that. He's frustrated today. He'll wake up tomorrow, go to work, and this team will prepare for their next game.
We first off want to say thank you to everyone who has ever, served in the Army. We do want to say thanks to that. Plus, if you guys are looking to go out and rep some NFL gear and also support the Army, chatsports.com/salute. This gear is up to 50% off. So the NFL just launched their Salute to Service gear. They got hats. They have T-shirts. I mean, beanies, jerseys, long sleeve, like anything possible.
Stuff.
Hundreds. Actually, it's like close to like 500 total things that you could potentially get.
For all 32 teams.
For all 32 teams. So just go to chatsports.com/salute where you can get gear up to 50% off. I mean, I like camo. Some of the camo jersey that they have are really, really clean. And if you like wearing camouflage anything or just this like black matte look, I think it's super clean. Chatsports.com/salute. Again, some of this stuff is up to 50% off, but take advantage of the deal now because the way that our partners work, you know, some of these deals don't last very long. So, again, chatsports.com/salute. All right, Harris, let's get into some 49ers news and rumors here. Jordan Willis, he's a new member.
Yeah, so the Niners made a trade today. Not a super notable trade here, but somewhat notable because that 49ers D-line has been decimated. So outside linebacker, defensive end hybrid, Jordan Willis, he goes from the Jets to the 49ers. Really intriguing player out of Kansas State a few years ago. Got drafted by the Bengals. Didn't work out there, landed with the Jets, couldn't get on the field for the Jets, so I don't really know what the 49ers are expecting to get here. But if nothing else, Mitch, they get a depth piece. So,
sure.
And they need one.
Especially
Bosa, all these injuries, like add a piece, buy low, see what he can offer.
I mean, if we did a video on the amount of injuries that the 49ers have had, I mean, it'd be a 24-hour-long video, right? It'd be pretty crazy. So here were the trade details. The 49ers, they received Jordan Willis and a 2021 7th-round pick. The Jets get a 6th rounder, and I mean
22.
Oh, a 2022. Yeah, I misread that. I mean, that to me, this is a big time win for the 49ers, just because you're adding depth.
There's no risk here. Like if he doesn't work out, 2022 6th, who cares? Like you're not losing out here. You needed depth, like I mentioned. So hey, you buy low. He was an intriguing athlete, tested well at the combine. Maybe in a winning culture, maybe he pops. Maybe he shows something. So we'll ask you this. Grade the Willis trade, A, B, C, D, or F. I'll give it like a B. Low risk. Not, the reward's probably not super high, but it's a win-win.
If you're a 49ers fan, you're watching this right now, you're like, wait, Patrick Willis? No, that'd be
an A+.
That'd be insane. No, seriously though, y'all, get your votes in here. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the Willis trade. So Jordan, he's got a lot of, we'll say, raw athletic ability, and if there's actually a coach and a GM that I have extreme confidence in to be able to get the most out of their players, it is Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch.
Well, and Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator, is highly regarded. You know, this is a flyer. They're taking a chance here, right? For, again, not that much capital they're losing. A 2022 sixth. Only 3 sacks since he's entered the NFL. He's dealt with some injuries as well. So, you know, I wouldn't sit here and watch this and say, hey, our pass rush has been saved by this move.
No.
He's not replacing Nick Bosa or something like that. But, again, the injuries have been out of control. Those first 3 guys, Bosa, Thomas, and Ziggy Ansah, out for the season. D Ford, temporary IR. He's probably not coming back there anytime soon. Ronald Blair was placed on the PUP list recently. Like, they have a ton of injuries up front defensively. They've been plugging away, trying to bring in guys, and they're doing that again here with Jordan Willis. Hopefully Javon Kinlaw can get going. He hasn't given them much, the rookie out of South Carolina, but there's a lot of injuries in San Francisco. Luckily, Mitch, the offense is starting to play better. Jimmy G played his best game of the season last week. We'll see in the end what Jordan Willis actually brings to the table for San Francisco, but this is at least something to monitor, something we wanted to inform you guys of, because this is a guy who at least had some talent. He was a third-round pick just a few years ago.
So if you guys are big fans of the 49ers, go check out our 49ers YouTube channel. We're getting close to 30,000 subs on that bad boy. You can see the link below, youtube.com/49erstv. Now, obviously, the NFL trade deadline is right around the corner, starting November 3rd. And I'm curious, who else should the 49ers go out and trade for? Throw that name down there in the comments section. I still believe that they need somebody on the offense. I mean, maybe a wide receiver, because you got to spark the offense in some way. And the issue is there's really not many big-name defensive players. Maybe some of those guys from the Bengals, maybe like a Carlos Dunlap.
I'm intrigued by a potential receiver trade still.
Yeah.
Do they take a chance on a guy like John Ross? I don't know if that's the name I would look for, but if they could get another weapon for Jimmy G, that's something I would be intrigued with.
So let us know, who else should the 49ers go out and trade for? Let us know down there in the comments section.